And welcome to the California Crown All Stakes Pick 5 preview show. One of many shows to start off the year. And let me introduce my guests from the Morning Line Sports Show, Seminar Skip. How you doing there, Skipper?
I'm doing good. I'm glad to be back. I'm looking forward to Saturday. They got a great card, and I can't wait to do this All Stakes Pick 5.
And joining us for the first time in quite a while from Equine Edge, our man, Scotty McKeever. Scotty, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. What's going on? Good to be here.
Good to have you. And Gino Bacola from That's What G Said, a regular on the show. Gino, we've got plenty going on this weekend. Obviously, opening day tomorrow, and then the big day, Saturday, California Crown, the inaugural running of it, and a lot of action, a lot of wagers to go along with this day.
Well, yeah, it's cool. It'll be a complete experience. The on-track experience is going to be great with music, performances, food, with all sorts of great drinks. But the most important always, the wagering menu, the opportunities that we have as bettors, and the horses are going to be quality and quantity. We have big fields, and when we're talking about quantity, Chappie, we have so many different wagers we can get involved in. We will be focusing on that all stakes pick 5. That's going to go as races 5 and then 7 through 10. And what's nice about all of these wagers, 15% takeout. More money back for us players. That's what we want as players. So thank you to Santa Anita and to First Bet and for everyone for giving us a nice wagering menu here.
Yeah, as we can see there, the 15% is a great thing for the player friendly. The people keep asking for the player friendly type of bet, Scotty, and we've got plenty to go around, not only for this meet, but especially on Saturday and into Sundays in such an important weekend here at Santa Anita.
Yeah, we've got the All Stakes Pick 5. You know what I'm super excited about is the $2 Pick 6 is back. And props to Santa Anita Watch. That's going to be super successful.
Well, gentlemen, let's get started. We don't have a whole lot of time here. We've got a lot to cover. So the All Stakes Pick 5, like we said, 15% and a $1 minimum, and we start with race 5. That's 6.5 furlongs down the hill. The race we always love, Skipper, and that is the Unzip Me Stakes presented by the Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance. Doesn't look to be a lot of speed on paper, Skip. The rail maybe has some speed. I don't know if Roberta's Love is going to go. What are your thoughts in handicapping as far as the pace scenario here?
You know, there's not a lot of speed at all, I don't think. I mean, Roberta's Love's got speed, but I don't think anybody's as quick as the one, Dreamfire. This horse, 3 for 3 to start her career, and then she races in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf for fillies. She breaks from the 13th post out of 14. She makes a lead. She got tired late, but that was a good race. That race was not bad. She only got beat 5.5 lengths. I think she's got to go from the rail. I like her work pattern. I love that September 6th. I love when they work at a farther than the races run, that 7 furlongs and 127.3. Now, we weren't able to watch it because the Pleasanton works obviously aren't on XBTV, but I just like the workout pattern, the 6 furlongs, the 7 furlongs, and cutting back to 4 furlongs. So I think the one's going to go, and the one will definitely be on my ticket. There's a couple long shots that I'm using on my ticket also. And one of them is Wrigleyville. And Wrigleyville could be my top choice. It's 20-1. Rispoli jumps aboard for Jack Sisterston. This horse, first time out at Gulfstream Park, looked like it kind of needed the race. I bet her that day. She ran a good third, respectable third, got beat 2 lengths. Then they stretched her out, which she wants to do out of the damn marketing mix, which is she wanted to go long on the grass. Ran good that day, won by 1.25 lengths. Then they come against winners. Didn't run too bad, kind of sawed off the pace, got to the lead at the top of the stretch, got a little tired late. And then the last race, man, she was loaded behind horses under a slow pace. She got out of the top of the stretch, looked like she was going to make a winning move. And the horse inside kind of lugged in and bumped her. And then she got impeded between the 2 horses and just completely took up and lost all chance. At 20-1, she's definitely going to be on my ticket. I'm also going to use Toupee, or however you say that.
Toupee, I would guess.
Is that right, Gino?
Toupee, yeah.
Toupee.
Scotty, I always mispronounce the name, so stick with me for a minute, okay?
Believe me,
Skip,
same here.
Skip,
Skip.
it's something I don't have, which would be toupee. It's toupee.
Toopy. You know, I didn't really care for her ride last time. I think she's much better when you kind of take hold and give her something to run at. She broke from the inside. The jock, Ruiz, didn't really have a choice. He kind of went on with it. The outside horse was quicker than her, but she kind of took her up around the turn and kind of went outside. I don't think she wants to race like that. I love Pratt getting aboard. He's going to take hold, and he always seems to make the right move. So she'll be on my ticket. Another one that's going to be on my ticket at 8-1 is Golden Cannery. I don't know what she beat last time at Woodbine, but they bet her way down. So she was obviously very live. She swooped around the field. She was on her wrong lead, but she just still kept going and drawing away. I just like that race. Johnny V gets aboard. So Golden Cannery is going to be on my ticket also.
All right, so a little bit of Spreadsville here for Skip. Gino, what are your thoughts in this race?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Golden Canary as myself with the same one that Skip was just talking about. I think this horse is a real fit. If you eliminate the Gulfstream races, something just went wrong. It wasn't like the horse was outclassed or anything. She just didn't fire those two races at Gulfstream Park. Everything else was good. And last year, as a 2-year-old, she was actually facing the boys. She beat the boys in her career debut. She fits really well. Skip also mentioned Wrigleyville, who draws in. That's key. Both the 2 and the 5 are out. So Andiamo, Ragazza, not in. Back on Track, not in. Wrigleyville won't be 20-1. 6 to 8-1. That's fine. That's probably where Wrigleyville makes the most sense. I'd say Zona Verde is the horse to beat. Probably the one they all have to hold off. Like the measuring stick for this race, the one who has the best resume. Those are some of the horses that'll be in the mix for me.
Yeah, Scotty, I obviously Zona Verde is a very tough horse. Cutting back, but running well against Ice Cream, You Scream was a very tough horse. I don't know if the flow of the race sets up for Zona Verde, but it's got to be in the mix here. What are your thoughts here? And of course, I will use Wrigleyville just on hunch alone.
Well, I'm leaning towards Tupi, to be honest with you, because the horse is going to sit a beautiful trip behind the 1 and the 4. One's going to have the lead. I'm certain of that. I do worry a little bit about the one horse because it's a long break. Why did this horse have such a long break? And I like the fact that she was able to go gate to wire at a mile. So that bodes well for her to do well down the hill. You might not catch her for sure. If she's okay, then you're not going to catch her. Tupi is going to be sitting the garden spot from that 11 post. No question about it. Pratt's going to be sitting. There's just no proof that the horse is really bred to sprint. But I mean, Uncle Mo's long. I just have to believe that Tupi is going to be able to get this distance and just be impossible to beat if the 1 doesn't fire. I'm only using 2 horses in this race, the 1 and the 11.
Because Scotty, what you were kind of getting up to would be my only concern with Tupi is she more of a 5.5er versus the 6.5, right? Because the difference in those layouts are quite a bit. The 5.5 courses on the East Coast, way different from this one. But from a class standpoint, definitely in the top tier.
The only reason why,
right? I mean, she looks like Scotty said, she should sit the perfect trip, right?
Right into it.
The way Pratt rides that hill as well. So go ahead, Scotty.
I was just going to say she's an Uncle Mo, and there's nothing in here that shows that she's pulling or anything like that. You know what I mean? So I just have a feeling. I mean, Pratt's aboard. She's training forwardly for Grand Motion. She's the best horse in the race, and she's going to get an absolute perfect trip. It's just a matter of whether she's going to be able to catch the 1. Now, here's the thing. If the 11 can't get the distance and the 1 is not ready, our race simulator at Equine Edge literally has a wall of them flying at the end. So I'm either going to do an all or I'm just going to do the 1 and the 11.
All right. So obviously we're off to a very interesting and could be a difficult spot here to start, especially with the horse. It could be Lone Speed drawing the rail, which is always tricky going down the hill. All right, let's move on to the second leg, which is race 7. That's the California Crown John Henry Turf Championship presented by First Bet. Gino, and what are your thoughts in here?
So we know Gold Phoenix, we know Balnikov, respect the heck out of those horses. But from a gambling standpoint, those are horses that will probably be shorter prices in here that are kind of fun to take a shot against because of their running style, because they're deeper closers. So they do need things to go right for them. They do need to get a race shape. They do need to get, at the mercy of traffic. I really like the 3 in here. Devon Propos. This is a horse whose races have been really, really good visually. You go through everything this horse did in France. Super impressive. Came here to the U.S., had not raced from September to June, won really nicely off of a long layoff, and then came back on July 21st, got parked 3 wide all the way around the track. This horse had a no chance trip, and at the top of the lane was still trying. It should have absolutely just stopped and faded. Then most recently, what I really like, showed that they had the opportunity to kind of sit behind horses. She wanted to go. I say he wanted to go. He was really keen, but was able to relax a little bit behind horses. There's not that much early speed in here either, Chappie. I think this is a horse who should be sitting in the top flight. And if you're worried because maybe buyer speed figures aren't quite as high as some of the others, if you look at a horse named Awfully Naughty, who Divine Propos defeated last time out, you go to Gold Phoenix, and on the bottom of Gold Phoenix's page, you see Awfully Naughty beating Gold Phoenix. Awfully Naughty isn't quite the same as he used to be, but that's still a quality horse. So if you were wondering where this one stacks up, I think very well in this race. I like Devon Propos. That's what Frankie went with when he gave the call.
Well, Scotty, as Gino was mentioning, Divine Propos is one of the new faces. This comes out of a very common race where many of them came out of that same race, and there was absolutely no speed in the race whatsoever in the Del Mar Handicap. So pace-wise, once again, do you think it kind of sets up that way, or what are your thoughts in this race?
Well, there's no pace. Our top pace number is like 45 of 100. I mean, there's just no pace. I think the 5-horse Dicey Mo Chara is going to get the lead. And this horse actually has some decent class. These races, you guys, always are a blanket finish. Almost always they are blanket finish. Divine Propos is lightly raced, been in the money in 9 of 10 races. That race 2 back in the optional claiming, that horse broke 10 and still only lost by like 3/4 of a length. That the 3-horse is by the way, one of 4 horses for a Diamato. Braceau stays on this horse, and this horse is just going to be really, really tough. That all being said, class-wise, the horse is going to have to improve. They are all going to have to improve if they're going to beat Gold Phoenix, because you're talking about this horse just won a grade 2. It wasn't a strong grade 2 Del Mar handicap, but nonetheless a grade 2. And this horse has been facing better horses. So you're gonna have to beat the 9-horse, and maybe the 9's not in its best game, and the 3 would be my other choice for sure. But Dicey Mo Chara, don't forget that horse.
Dicey Mo Chara almost stole it last time out, going 51 and change for the half, which is absolutely crawling. It's more of a Saratoga type pace there, Skip. What are your thoughts on this race? And do you give any look at Balnikov, who's kind of rounded back into great form? Pratt jumps aboard, but is 0 for 8 at Santa Anita. What mixed feelings there? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know about Balnikov. I almost think that he's a better miler to me. I mean, where he just takes back and makes that one run. I know he's run good. He ran real good in the Del Mar handicap last time, behind no pace. Kamara just swung out, turning for home, and just finished nicely. Just got beat by the horse that was better, which is Gold Phoenix. I think Gold Phoenix is going to be very tough in here. I tried to beat her. I will use a couple other ones. I'll use Divine Propos, as Gino said, and I'm going to use There Goes Harvard also. McCarthy's got this horse. When he takes the blinkers off, he wins at 30%. That race 2 back in the Eddie Reed against Johannes, that race was a sneaky good race. He had trouble at the top of the stretch, and I keyed him in exactas and tries and supers that day. Ran better than looked, I thought. Then they came back in the Pacific Classic. I bet it back. It didn't run real good, but it didn't run bad. I love the blinkers off. And, I don't know if this horse is better on the grass or on the turf, but I'm going to use it. So I'm going to go 3 deep. I'm going to go the 3, I'm going to go the 9, and I'm going to go the 10 in here.
All right, the only one I think, despite the 0 for 8 record, I think Balnikov is kind of rounding back into very good form. That last work on September 22nd, XBTV was very nice. And with Pratt jumping aboard, that's a must-use for me there. And I think you might get close to the 5-1 just because the horse is 0 for 8 at Santa Anita. So just my little thoughts in there. All right, Scotty, we move on to the 3rd leg, the Eddie D, the California Crown Eddie D, presented by FanDuel. We're back down the hill, and another wide open race. It looks as if what are your thoughts here in race 8?
Well, it's going to be a blanket of them that are going to try to go the lead. The 6, the 9, the 10, the 3 is pretty fast. Boss Soli. The 2 horse loves the downhill. Has a good has 2-1 on the Equinedge morning line, and been first or second in all 5 tries down the hill. So I mean, certainly First Piece is a horse you can't ignore. Big Invasion is our top Equinedge pick. It's got a lukewarm win percentage. It certainly deserves a look down the hill, but this is another one that we were talking about that, you know, maybe this one doesn't want to go past 6 furlongs. I don't know. Certainly has the breeding to do that, but and it has been down the hill, I think, one time and didn't do bad. I'm trying to find that here, but I'm pretty sure. This horse did go 6.5 over at Kentucky Downs. By the way, that was a Grade 2 race and only lost by 6 lengths too. So I think Big Invasion, but I think this is a wide open race. The 5 horse is very tactical. King of Gosford has a decent win percentage and is 2 for 2 at the distance. When our top win percentage is 21%, you know this race is wide open.
Yeah, King of Gosford 3 for 3 at Santa Anita, 2 for 2 at the distance. But Skip, I thought this race was very difficult. What are your thoughts in here?
Yes, I will be spreading on this one. You know, it's my favorite race coming down the hill. I love it. I'm going to use, with all the speed in there, Johnny Padres, the 1 is definitely going to be on my ticket. As Scotty said, First Piece loves coming down the hill. It's going to be on my ticket. King of Gosford, the 3-year-old going against Older, is going to be on my ticket. The horse is 3 for 3 coming down, or 2 for 2 coming down the hill. 3 for 3 over Santa Anita's turf course, and didn't run bad in the La Jolla or the Oceanside. The Oceanside, boy, that was a brutal trip, and then got beat by Stay Hot, who came back and ran pretty good in the Del Mar Derby. So King of Gosford at 15-1 is going to be on my ticket. My bomb in here is number 7, Iman. I think this horse is going to love coming down the hill. You know, in its past performances, it shows 5.5, 6, 5. They did try it longer, 2 turns at Kentucky Downs. I just think this horse is going to like this turf course. Coming down the hill at 20-1, that's going to be on my ticket. Big Invasion, of course, is going to be on my ticket. And I got to put, even with the speed, Air Force Red. That's always been one of our favorite horses, Chappie. And at 10-1, loving coming down the hill, I got to use Air Force Red also.
Yeah, and cutting back, so that's kind of interesting. I agree with you there. Gino, what are your thoughts in what looks to be a wide open race?
Yeah, Air Force Red doesn't really want to sit off, but with the way the layout is of the downhill, he can kind of be a little bit off the pace and just sort of rolling. That's where he actually does pretty well. I'll throw him in, and I'm glad that Skippy mentioned Iman. He's kind of the opposite, like the horses we were talking about. He's one of these horses that has been going 5 and 5.5 and would probably be a lot better going 6.5. Just the way that his running style is. He went a mile last time out and he just flattened out. He was more forward early on, and the mile at Kentucky is way different than like other tracks as well. So I think Iman makes a whole lot of sense, and it's a really, really challenging race. So I'll throw in a couple prices there with Air Force Red. Iman, probably First Piece is like definitely a horse I feel like will run solid in this race. Was just super wide last time out. Eliminate that trip. Make an excuse for him.
We've been doing these shows way too long because when Skip was talking about Iman, I could tell by the gleam in Gino's eye that he was waiting to mention that horse as well, or he had the little smirk on his face.
Yep.
So I knew exactly what was coming there. So
I'm not as going to say, I used to act a little bit when I was younger, but I'm not a good poker player at this point anymore. You can see it all over my face.
Yeah, sometimes in what appears to be a tough race, we spread a
too
lot.
Much, right?
You know what I mean? And First Piece is going to be very tough. The more I look at this,
he's solid.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
right. Gino, the more we talk about this horse, the more I'm looking at this horse. I mean,
his last race is a complete toss. It was just really wide. He had no chance. He's cutting back, so he's going to be sitting a little bit big, but he's got some versatility cutting back, which is nice with all the possible speed lined up. So he really could get that dream trip right behind the tier of the leaders. If they don't go that fast for some reason, he'll be right there, and he has no problem doing it. So I thought he was the horse to beat.
And he 4 races back coming down the hill in the Daytona. That's a Grade 3 race. In fact, we have that race rated tougher than what's lined up today in this Grade 2. And that horse, I mean, he barely lost. He lost by half a length in that race. Now the horse is going to save ground on the inside. There's some speed to set the race up. Yeah, the more I'm looking at this too, the more I'm really liking it.
I'm starting to think that Scotty pick 6 might be singling first piece
I
here.
might. I literally might, because I'm, even though Big Invasion's our top pick, it's just something about this horse. I'm not for sure this horse is really going to excel going 6.5 down the hill. Although this horse has faced some decent horses. Pratt is aboard, by the way, another 11, and we could see a couple of 11s win the race going down the hill. So I don't think you can ignore Big Invasion to win. That was a decent non-gridded stakes race going 5.5, and this horse can go 6.5. This horse is won down at 6.5. So I still like the 2 horse, but the Big Invasion I'm worried about.
Scotty, when you do a ticket like this, and you're a big pick 6 player, and obviously you were mentioning at the beginning of the show, you're very happy that the $2 pick 6 is back. Will you play? Do you always have a single when you play a pick 5 or a pick 6?
Almost always, or else I won't play it. Yeah, because it just makes the ticket too much. You have to take a risk. And most of the time I will single a horse that's not obvious, because if you're gonna, you know what I mean? Because if you're going to win the big money, if you're going to win big tickets, if you're just going with the crowd, you're just never going to get paid. So I'm not saying be reckless and just, you have to really love the horse, but I try to find the first thing I do when I look at a sequence, a horizontal sequence, is go, where are the favorites vulnerable? Not just favorite, but favorites, like maybe the top 2 or 3 favorites, what I think is going to be the betting favorite. And I use the EE morning line for that. And once I look and go, you know what, these horses have burned money, or the pace scenario doesn't work good for these horses, then I start looking very hard to see who the horse is.
I think we can all be in agreement on that. I've done too many shows with those two that I know that we all demand a single. I would say 90+% of the time, and more likely.
I guess if you didn't, it would be only if you had like 2 price horses you liked, right?
Yeah.
It would be the same sort of approach where, hey, I know that if I hit this ticket, it's gonna pay.
Here's the thing. You know what though, Gino? If you use 2 tickets, here's the thing, or 2 horses in a race, you've essentially doubled your ticket.
Yeah, and that more comes down to how you're putting your ticket together, right? Like if I'm looking through a sequence and in one race I like 2 price horses, I'd be okay playing a ticket without a single, and maybe even playing a little bit bigger than I would have, knowing that it's going to pay back. Or kind of on the opposite, like you were saying, Scotty, some of the people who are just playing with a smaller bankroll, if you know, hey, this thing looks a little chalky for me, I'm not going to spend a whole lot, I don't want to waste tickets, that's when you play a smaller one, because you're not trying to hit as big of a life-changing score like we might be some days.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, by the way. If you're going to cover 2 horses, let it be 2 price horses that you like in the race. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I think we all in agreement that most of the time we try to find singles that aren't logical and are a price. And, that's why you do the work, do the studying, and try to go against the grain. And that's where you're going to make the big scores anyways. And not just to do it. It's something that you like Scotty said, against a vulnerable type of favorite. All right, let's move on to Race 9, which is the California Crown, presented by Sir Davis American Whiskey. Skip, National Treasure last time, took back. There are 3 Bafferts, of course, in here. Does Subsanador go with? Does National Treasure get an easy lead? What are your thoughts in this race? And once again, it comes down to pace, and Baffert holds a lot of the cards in here, but maybe Mandela will have something to say as far as pace-wise.
Yeah, I don't think National Treasure gets an easy lead. I don't know what happened last time, but boy, that Met Mile, that was unbelievable. That race was amazing. 102 buyer.
Skippy, real quick. I don't think he likes the slop and the off track. So for the last race, we could probably just eliminate that, because his 3 races where he's been on an off track and not been anywhere close to his best.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I was going to say. Maybe it was the off track, the muddy track, but I'm going to use a few in here. I'm using Subsanador. I like this horse. I liked it first time out. It looked like it kind of maybe needed the race. Then it came back in the Sanded handicap and went to the lead and went fast early a little bit, then slowed it down and got beat ahead by Newgate. That was a good race. Came back in the Gold Cup, didn't run a step, but then they gave it some time. Mandela shipped it to Monmouth and won nicely with Mike Smith. So Subsanador is going to be on my ticket. National Treasure, I have to use. Muth, the 3-year-old going against older. you know, it's won 5 out of 7. I tried to beat it last time, Chappie, when we were at the boat. We didn't even put it on our ticket, you know, just taking a stand, and proved me wrong. I got to use Muth, but my long shot, I'm going to put the 7 and dispensable. This horse, I know it doesn't have the numbers to compete with the rest of these, but to me, this horse seems to be getting better. It's going in the right direction. And if they do go fast, or if a couple horses, if Mike Smith decides to go with National Treasure, maybe Muth with Hernandez is up there and the pace gets a little hot, I think Indispensable can get a great trip and maybe surprise some people at 20-1. So I'm going to use the 2, the 3, the 5, and the 7.
Interesting here. Gino, what are your thoughts in this race? Skip is spreading a little bit.
Yeah, I like Subsanador quite a bit in here. I think he just fits really well, and following along with the horse's pattern, as Skip was pointing out, he came to the U.S. in December of 2023, so it was opening day of Santa Anita last year, and he was backed up in his training, but they still ran him in the race, and because there really wasn't like an overwhelming favorite, he got all the support, but he was not ready. And you could just see it in the race. He needed a race. And then they gave him some time off. They came back a few months later. He had been training better. He hadn't had hiccups. And boom, going 1.25 miles, he almost steals it. Then following that, they switch barns. And I really think Mandela had him figured out. That last race at Monmouth Park was fantastic. And it was kind of weird that he would ship over there. Because if he would have stayed and run in the Pacific Classic, he would have been one of the top contenders. Or the San Diego. Or a race at Del Mar would have made a whole lot of sense for him. But they ship over to Monmouth, and it was like they just figured something out with this horse, that he can sit behind horses. I think he's fit. So I think he fits really well in here. I don't know, Chappie, I wanted to ask you a question. Did you watch Newgate's work?
Yes.
Most recently? That was just a note that I had, because I think he probably will need the race, but he absolutely put away Prince of Monaco.
Yeah.
Dusted that horse and left him for gone. That was one of like the eye-opening things I saw with a lot of these horses working. But my other opinion would probably be, I think I'm a little cold on Senor Buscador just getting the race shape he needs in this kind of a field, right? Smaller field, a couple Bafferts. Are they all going to be battling to set it up for Senor Buscador? I don't think so. So I'll probably leave him off. I'll have Subsanador as my top horse. And I think I prefer Muth over National Treasure, but I like Subsanador the most. I'll probably play a couple tickets where I single him. And this is where I try to get a little separation.
Scotty, your thoughts?
Well, the only reason why I don't love Subsanador is for us, the GSR is dropping 13 points. I'm not sure that 9 furlongs is where this horse wants to go, but I'm just looking at the GSR. The win percentage is actually 29%. So obviously a player in the race, but I'm going to have a completely different take on here. Show me how many other than the Breeders' Cup Mile, where the horse had the lead and lost by 1/2 of a length last year, where National Treasure loses when the horse gets the lead. This horse is most likely going gate to wire. I mean, he is such a hard knocking horse when he clears. It was a muddy track last time out, like Gino said. They were flying up front. I mean, and throw that race out. And Muth is another Baffert horse. Muth, I don't believe is fast enough anyways, but there's no way that Hernandez has got the green light to just send and go with National Treasure. I think they're going to try to sit off of National Treasure with Muth, and I think one of them wins it. But I think the 3 is going to go gate to wire, National Treasure.
I am 1,000% with Scotty.
Mile and 8 doesn't worry you at all.
No, Mile and 8. In fact, National Treasure, Gino, has earned $1.8 million in 4 races.
Well, that was the Pegasus. He won the Pegasus. That was the reason why. So all the money came there. But his other races going on, like he won the Preakness against a really bad field in the Preakness. I think he's a miler. But I mean, he can get 1 mile and 1/8 with the right circumstance. But I'm just a little worried about really short price. Sure that he's getting that trip. That would be my.
I'm just saying, when you look though, Gino, like when this horse clears. In the races we're talking about, like the Awesome Again at Santa Anita, I mean, the horse was 2.5 lengths back at the first call and second call. Like it was so fast. Like, but there's nobody as fast as this horse in here, and 3 of these horses are Bafferts. I think National Treasure clears.
I think. Go ahead.
Here's my problem with Subsanador. I think National Treasure clears, and I think National Treasure is the most likely winner wire to wire. Subsanador's in a bad spot because if he sits behind, he runs second. He's the one that could pressure because no one else is going to pressure. If he does, he's going to pay the price, and then I think it sets up for somebody like Muth. The Newgate work intrigued me a little bit last time. He's more of a grinder, but I think it's National Treasure. If Subsanador decides to go, then I think it sets up for Muth from off the pace, and I think Subsanador's in a tough spot.
Subsanador's not fast enough to go with National Treasure, guys.
I don't think so either.
No, and what makes it difficult always is when we have these races where you have the horses that are the fastest that are all from Baffert or from one barn. Because then it makes it a little bit more difficult trying to figure out if horses would put pressure on each other or not. Right. And it probably comes down to just, I've not really been all that high on National Treasure from the beginning, right? And so when that's the case, those are the horses that you probably try to beat more often than not. But what I really appreciate with him, kind of my last point on him, and we don't see enough horses stay racing because he's gotten way better from 3 to 4. It just shows you exactly what happens when you have a nice horse. They can hang around. They can get mature. Yeah. His speed figures are better. He's a multiple grade 1 winner now this year. He's just a way better horse than he was last year because he was able to stay around as a 4-year-old now. So it's cool when we see that, and I always like to applaud it.
Like you said.
I want to, Gino, just so you know, I am so the same. I've never been a fan of this horse.
No, right?
And he's beat me every time. Like, it's so funny. But in this case, I'm really looking carefully because I know for National Treasure, it's all about getting the lead. And when I look at National Treasure and I've run in the race simulator, our pace number, in no way can I see a horse even close to him at the first call, except for Muth. If for whatever reason, Baffert says, Hernandez, we want you to send, because Muth is a good horse. I mean, Muth's been in the money in 7 of the 7 tries, first and second. Muth is a good horse, but I think National Treasure goes, and it's going to be Muth and National Treasure down the stretch. Baffert exacta.
Scotty and Chappie against Gino and Skip here. Well, shall see what happens.
Beer game. You and me, Skippy.
All right. This is going to be the odds-on favorite. We're going to the last race, the City of Hope Mile, presented by my racehorse, Gino. Johannes, 4 to 5, morning line, undefeated at the distance, undefeated at Santa Anita, always sits a good trip. Is this a horse you try to beat? Obviously, most people will not. What are your thoughts?
I have no knocks on him. He's definitely a grade 1 winner and the horse to beat. What's a little concerning is just the gaps that he has, right? Because we can tell he has some physical issues with the gaps in the races. So that's a little bit scary for me. The horse who I think is an interesting value play is Almendaris. Almendaris almost ran down Conclude last time out in a race that was completely against him. There was no speed in that race at all. It did not set up at all for Almendaris. And now you start going through his form, you can make legitimate excuses. He was actually favored over First Piece 2 starts back in the Wicker, and he had a brutal trip that day. Put a line right through that. And then how good does the form look with just that race being gone? Everything else is really solid. Like, he's never beaten all that much. He's just a deeper closer that, needs a little bit of a race shape. I think with Conclude and then a horse like Paxawallop, who's in here, that could make life a little bit difficult for Conclude. And on top of that, you have Johannes and Tricari, who are not fast enough to keep those horses honest on the lead, but they're really classy pressers who could be kind of sitting in that next tier behind them, just kind of speeding everything up. I think it will set up for Johannes, but if you're looking for a horse who could get that same trip at a way better price, I think it might be Almendari. So that one's definitely going to be in the mix for me to close it out.
Your thoughts, Scotty? Possible single here? We trying to beat the chalk?
Well, Conclude can go gate to wire. I mean, if you look at, first of all, the horse is 4 to 1, the EE morning line, has 5 wins in 9 races. And we have this horse as our long shot. I mean, look, when this horse is close to the pace, 2 back in the non-gridded stakes race, the horse broke 10th. And prior to that, the Shoemaker couldn't get the lead. And it was just so fast. But when this horse is able to sit first or second, is extremely dangerous. I have this horse on the lead easily all the way until about the 3rd call. So I think Conclude could be very, very tough. Johannes, I mean, and Gino's right. I mean, this horse has got a lot of layoff lines, but man, doesn't ever do anything wrong. The one time this horse did something wrong on the American turf, Still only lost by 2 lengths, breaking 11th after a really bad start. I mean, this is just a really, really nice horse. I think it's 9-3-3-9.
9-3-3-9. Skipper, you have any other horses you want to add into the mix?
No, I will be singling the 3. Boy, this horse, I'm a big fan of this horse, obviously. Loves the grass, loves Santa Anita. As Scotty said, the only time it lost at Churchill Downs in the American turf, probably should have won that day. Brutal trip. Brutal trip. I went back and I told you last time, or I told you before this, I think it was the Eddie Reed, Chappie. We talked about it. I said, go back and watch that replay because I love Johannes going into that Eddie Reed. I said, this horse should have won that race at Churchill Downs. I love the way that, Yakteen's kept this horse working. I know it has, the layoffs and stuff, but I think he's, I don't know how many more races he has, but he's got this horse ready to go. This one and the Chad Brown. Now, why am I throwing a blank now? But I think they're the 2 best shots for the Breeders' Cup mile out of the American horses. It's one of my favorite horses, Chappie. You know which one I'm talking about. The Chad Brown just won the.
I do.
Why can't I think of it? Anyways,
neither of our brains have been working for 3 weeks, so I
3 weeks, 55 years, buddy. But I'm going to single Johannes. I'm a big fan of him, and I think he's going to win.
I'm going to make one case for one horse. Last time out, I loved Conclude, and I will use Conclude in here. I'm going to come back to De Jour in here. Third off the layoff, the last work I liked a lot visually. He kind of runs to the way he works. Skip and I said on that July 28th race, this is a miler, not a mile and eighth. De Jour was completely out of his game. He needs to sit, make one big run. Last time he ran okay, but like I said, I thought Conclude was the horse to beat, and I actually single Conclude. I think De Jour is coming back into a big race, and at the price here, I think he's going to get ignored. I think we'll get every bit of 5-1. Johannes clearly the one to beat, but
you guys Conclude. There is no speed in this race, just so you know. Like Conclude,
there is not
that 9 hole.
You are right.
Only the 4 horse has very little speed, and the 9 doesn't have to have the lead. So that means the 9 just needs to just get a nice break, and with a good break, just sit, and it can even let the 4 go. Meaning the 9 can really, if you go, let's just say you put it in miles per hour. If you go slower early, that means you're going to be able to finish faster. And I think that's what's going to happen here with that post position. The 9's just going to sit a clear trip. I hope the 9 doesn't take the lead and just sits off the 4, but the 9's much the fastest horse early. And I know that there's been a few horses here that, Alamanderis is 4-1 on our morning line. And this horse was right there. But I think the pace scenario is going to be very, very slow in here, and Conclude could be very tough in here.
Scotty, don't you think that Johannes, it's got tactical speed. Maybe it's not as fast as Conclude, but those early races, I think this horse has got more speed than he's been showing lately. They kind of showed a new dimension where he doesn't need the lead. They kind of take him back a little bit. I think this horse, if he needs to be closer, he definitely could be closer. And the other horse I was thinking about was Carl Spackler.
Yeah, that's right. Carl Spackler.
So this is what we show for the first call. The first call, we show the 9 having the lead, and the 3, Johannes second, and then the 4 third, and Astronomer's right there as well as Tricari. But it's clear the 9 is the speed. But what I'm looking for is to make sure that there is no horses on the outside of the 9, so that the 9's not getting pressed, and the 9 doesn't have to have the lead. That's why I think the 9 Conclude. You might get 4, 5, 6-1 odds on the 9, especially with Johannes in there. Alamanderis is going to get bet. De Jour is going to get some action. You might get a price on Conclude.
Well, I know one thing. If Skip wasn't singling Johannes, he would have had his Astronomer in there somewhere, because we all have our horse crushers. That's one of Skip's at 20-1. I was waiting for an Astronomer.
Maybe on my pick 5, I'll throw Astronomer. Or my pick 4. I'm sorry.
There you go.
And Skip, and to your credit, you did love Astronomer way back in August when it won at 21-1 last year, August 13th, and well done. I can remember that day.
Every once in a while, buddy.
Every dog has his day. So, Scotty, real quick, possible single for you. You're thinking first piece?
I actually might single conclude after us talking about it a little bit. First Piece is a possible single for me as well. Definitely, I like First Piece a lot. I really do want to single Tupi, the 11 horse. I really do think that that's an Uncle Mo. I know the horse hasn't proven it yet, but the horse is really tactical. The horse is 39% to win on our numbers. The top Equine Edge pick as well. It's the class of the field. It has the top breeding metric, which we call GSR. I think Tupi might get a really good trip and win as well. So I think there's some opportunities here.
Skipper, Johannes, for you, and obviously, this is one of those ones where you can take the chalk sometimes, because it looks as if we could get some prices on the front end of this pick 5.
That's the way I'm going to play it. I think that's what probably is going to happen. I just want to mention Wrigleyville. I think this horse, like Gino said, maybe we're not going to get 20-1, maybe 8-10-1. I just think I love that outside draw. I love it cutting back. I think this horse will love the downhill. And I bet Wrigleyville, or make sure it's on your ticket.
Gino?
There are going to be 2 horses I build around a lot. I probably play different wagers, singling one and then singling the other. I'll play one with Subsanador, but the one I like more is the Devon Propos. And I think that's a fun race to kind of have a little bit of a stand. A lot of people will be going to some of the familiar names. I can try to get a little separation there. So maybe I'll play a pick 5 where I single one, play a pick 4 where I single the other one. And if I can be right about one of those, I'll probably be in pretty good shape with some prices around them.
I'm still working on my singles. I have a sneaky feeling I'm going to build something around Balnikov, who's 0 for 8 at Santa Anita, which makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. But why not? Price and all. So, Gino, as we said, once again, the wagering menu on that day, absolutely terrific on California Crown Day.
CaliforniaCrown.com. That's the website. And if you need tickets, if you want to find out any information at all and the entire wagering menu, all of the special wagers, and they can tell you which races they are specifically, all of this information right there at CaliforniaCrown.com. Don't forget, pick'em.santanita.com. Free to enter contests. They're back this weekend. The Coast to Coast Pick 5. Those are back this weekend. I mean, every single wager, everything's going to be rolling on Saturday at Santa Anita. I'm really looking forward to it.
Guys, by the way, on that note of the Coast to Coast Pick 5, at Equine Edge, you can we have that on our ticket generator. So nice. You're actually able to play, not bet it, but use it and generate a ticket on the Coast to Coast without having to go back and forth on your past performances. So it makes it real easy to play the Coast to Coast. And also, I'm playing in the tournament on Saturday as well.
Huge money. It's 6,000 entry, right? But if the people don't want to try to pay the 6,000, they can try to win their way in on Friday for $300 for the qualifier. So
yeah, good point.
6,000 is a lot for people who don't have that big of a bankroll. 300 is much more affordable. You can play on Friday, express bet, and try to win your way in.
So go to CaliforniaCrown.com for all the information. If you want tickets, there are still tickets available. Gentlemen, first of many shows, and just to let everybody else know, there will be shows tomorrow and on Saturday as well. So stay tuned for those, and good luck to everybody. Gentlemen, thank you so much, and we will do this again very soon. Appreciate it.
Good luck, everyone.
Thanks, guys.